made myself sick. I've been sick ever since then.
How long had you been married when you got divorced?
We had been married 10 years together, and it was like 13 years total on paper.
Total.
Because it was a 3-year battle back and forth to court. And the reason I agreed to my in-laws having custody was I had a tubular pregnancy. It required emergency surgery. I literally collapsed. All my lungs, all my functions collapsed on the table. 2 days later, after being home from the hospital, she called me and said, "Ha, ha, ha, you're just jealous that my baby's alive and your baby's dead." So I called my lawyer, and I told my lawyer, I said, "Get it over with. Get me as much visitation time as you can."
Do you have a man? Do you have
No, that's another thing. It's destroyed my ability to trust anyone, male or female.
You have not gotten on. Okay.
The few relationships I've had have been really just downright hell. I've reconciled myself to the fact that I probably will always be alone the rest of my life.
Deborah, as you know, your ex-husband Jerry and his wife, your old babysitter Hope, are waiting backstage. Jerry and Hope, please come on out. As you know, you have been listening backstage, Hope. Deborah's convinced that you had an affair while you were their babysitter, and that she said you stole the husband and the child and the house and the car and I guess everything.
How do you steal something she threw away? She kicked him out. I was nowhere in the picture. When I was 14 years old, the only time I was ever at her house was with a date, with a friend. She kept me as far away from him as she possibly could because I knew too much.
One question. I agree with the fact that, yes, she was a babysitter. Yes.
We're talking 14 years ago.
But no, there was nothing between us.
We've been,
There was nothing between us.
Nothing. And you never confronted me ever. Ever. Because you knew.
But the question being, why would I need a babysitter when I'm working from the hours of 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.?
Because you didn't know how to keep your
I should have had a...
She wasn't.
He is more the man than you ever was not the only one. If you cannot keep up.
Let me hear your side of the story.
Please?
Okay.
Your side.
When did you start seeing... She says that you were kind of having an affair with her while she was the babysitter.
No, ma'am.
No?
He was two-time, and you would...
Can I have a time?
When did you start seeing her?
I started seeing Hope at the end of October. It was been 30 days after her and I had separated.
Okay.
We had one date. We went out, and then she had left actually
I moved
to live
out of
with...
state.
She moved out of state and
So there
didn't
was
come
no
back
contact.
for 2 more months.
Right.
And then we started dating some more. But
Why do you feel that they were making love or having
To
sex?
cover her own guilt.
What guilt?
She was using me
What
to
was
watch her
guilt?
son while she was out around. Bottom line. Oh, you come home and brag to me about your
No, I
2
didn't.
people
Is
at
this
a
your
time in your own
It's your
handwriting.
handwriting.
In your own handwriting, you admitted to, I don't know
What
how
is
many
that?
affairs, how many one-night stands. So you tell me who's guilty.
I made plenty of
He
mistakes.
was just too much man
I made
for
plenty
you.
of mistakes.
You couldn't handle it.
Is this your handwriting?
But I have a question for you, Hope. And it is Hope.
Let me ask
Right.
Jerry, were you ever unfaithful to her while you were
Yes,
married?
I did at one point in my life. I did have an involvement with one other person, and
That wasn't the only one. What about the one you came home and brought
I've come
crabs
to
to me and your
terms as
son?
far as I've come to terms as far as why that happened, because yes,
was so promiscuous.
she'd been around quite a bit.
Promiscuous? You were known as a town slut. Hope, the town slut. You never changed. You changed your name to Denise when you married my husband, so no one would
I did.
put
Why
the
would
two
I come
together.
on this show calling me Hope? If I had anything to hide, I could go
Okay.
back.
Yes, sir?
Based on what I've gathered, this marriage was doomed from the
Right.
beginning because
Exactly.
I
you weren't
agree.
faithful to him and you weren't faithful to her.
Right.
I don't know if it was with her or with
But what
another
you
girl,
have to
as you said.
understand, sir, is at one particular point, we had started our lives over, and I was fully committed. Everything that happened before that date was forgiven on both parts. Then this
I
one
was
shows
not
back
in the
up.
picture. No,
Then
I
this one
called
shows
you.
back up.
I called you to see, and you flat out told me We're working things out. We're moving on. I'd
Why would I
appreciate
want
if you
you
didn't
around?
call. I didn't care. I did not come around. When you told me you'd appreciate it if I stayed away, I had no problem with it.
The thing of it is you know, you think you've got
But if you were that insecure...
You think that you've got the cake and you've got the big prize. You know what the bottom line is, darling? If he did it to me, he's going to do it to you. That you all have that we couldn't afford, but you all could afford it, and the
That's
child
because I work.
and the child that you have that I couldn't have because we couldn't afford it. You're going to be in the street because the house is in his mother's name, and you'll never get a piece of it.
Watch me. Let me tell you, if you're so jealous, you are just so jealous that I have what you want.
Why did you have to destroy my life?
I didn't do that to you.
Why did you have to come and get my child to take him away from his home and make him sleep on you hot bottle away?
I think you should just let it go. I don't think he's really worth fighting over. You're making yourself sick. It looks like you have asthma.
Yes.
And I think you just should let it go and go on with your life.
That would be easy to do, ma'am, if my son wasn't part of that. I'm not allowed to see my son. My visitation time is sabotaged. My visitation time is given away. My ex-mother-in-law and father-in-law have my son. They give my time to him when I'm supposed to have him.
He is 14 years old and can decide where he wants to go. If he does not go, he has a choice whether he can or not.
He doesn't come to me because I don't have the finances available to take care of him.
I send him money so that you guys could have things.
Excuse me.
So that you could go somewhere.
May I speak?
Yes.
I think that there's more to this story than really meets the eye. I don't particularly think that in this particular case, this girl is just a villain. I think you're no angel.
I never claimed to be.
I think she needs to get past it. Bottom line.
But I did start my life over, and I was totally committed to my son and my family.
If you started your life over, how come you haven't been able to get on?
Exactly.
I can't get on. I'm not allowed to get on.
You have not got on.
After 7 years, you can't move on?
That's why I'm here.
You're not
I think we
strong
are
enough.
talking about moving on, and maybe that's why we're here. By the way, when we come
Why
back...
does my divorce papers read that I'm guilty of gross neglect of duty?
Because you were.
Why couldn't it have been irreconcilable
Because you were too busy
differences?
Duty and everyone else.
Excuse me? I didn't hear
When we
her.
come back, this woman confronts her babysitter, whom she said had sex with her husband in front of the children. We'll be right back.
I came out here to ask her to take a ring. I asked her to give me one more chance. That's the reason I'm on this show today. I love you, Sandra. I love you.
Introducing an altogether new ragu. Ragu Hardy.
I just do.
A whole new line of hearty pasta sauces loaded with flavor for a big, bold taste.
I don't know why.
New Ragu Hardy. You're gonna love it.
Lens crafters and the optometrists next door work very well together. I test for glaucoma and cataracts with every patient. And with Lens crafters' 1-hour service, we can almost immediately see the results of our work.
Lens crafters, helping people see better, 1 hour at a time.
Introducing non-drowsy Triminic AM. A whole new way for kids to get daytime relief from coughs and colds. Dye-free Triminic AM gives kids relief without drowsiness. New Triminic AM, non-drowsy relief.
Okay, girls, shrimp's out of the oven. Go call Dad while I go get the rolls. Okay.
Only one shrimp brings you the taste of the sea. Sea Pack. The great taste of shrimp is just 10 minutes away.
If you've been seriously injured in a car or motorcycle accident, there's something you should know. Some insurance companies are quick to offer a settlement in their own best interest. Now, before you sign something you don't understand, call the Injury Helpline now and talk to an attorney near you for free. One who will explain your legal rights and costs. The insurance companies have attorneys working hard on their side, and so should you. Call 1-800-432-9001.
McCarthy's Olds GMC truck in Roseville has become a leader in the sale of conversion vans. We feature the Grand Prix conversion, which is made in Minnesota. And no, this is not air conditioning. This van is on our show floor to show how well these vans are built.
And we have a Grand Prix representative on hand to go over all the details.
We made a special purchase of these vans.
Over 50 to choose from, and with dealer incentives and factory rebates, you can save thousands on safari and full-size conversion vans.
There's only one place to get them, and that's McCarthy's in Roseville.
Are you caught in the middle of a love triangle? If so, call us at 800-93-SALLY and tell us about it.
Babysitters of sleeping with and in some cases stealing their husbands. We've just met Deborah, who says her life really has been a living hell since, she claims, the babysitter stole her husband. Listen to this. How would you feel if you suddenly came home from work one day and found the babysitter pretending to be you? That is, wearing your clothes, even wearing your wedding band. Well, that's what happened to my next guest. Meet Londa. She says her life is shattered because her husband had an affair with the babysitter, and she and her husband, Tom, are now separated. So that's where we stand. Londa says she still loves him, but unfortunately, she just can't trust him. The babysitter, Angela, is waiting backstage and is coming out in a minute. First, when did you realize that your husband...
I got a phone call from the police.
The police?
Yes. She, months after we had come back from a different state, she decided after this long period of time to go to the police and tell the police that Tom raped her and that it was not an affair, which is not true.
It's not true.
No. It was an affair, a 50-50 deal. It takes two to tango.
So what did you do then?
Of course, I wanted to kill him at the time. I brought her into my home. She was really basically homeless. Her stepfather, who's married to my mother, didn't want her. Her mother didn't want her. And I brought her into my home to take care of my children. We moved out of state. She begged and pleaded to move out of state with us, which we did. And if this rape took place, I wouldn't move out of state with my perpetrator.
Right.
You know, and this is what I want to confront her. Tom and I have come a long, long way.
Right.
A long way. The love is there. The trust has to come little by little, day by day. But she calls. What do you want? I just wanted to see how you guys were doing.
Tom, you're sitting there kind of sullen. What was going on there? Was it lust, or were you falling for the babysitter?
No, it was physical. I mean,
physical?
Yeah, it wasn't...
Can you tell me your side of it?
Well, it started out innocent enough. You know, she had two older brothers, and she was pretty tough, you know. And we was always wrestling around and goofing off and stuff like that, and it just got carried away, you know.
Uh-huh. Did you assault her?
No, I didn't.
But she was a minor?
I wasn't charged with it was that she was a minor.
Right.
That's what the problem was.
Okay, as you know, Angela is backstage. You two are separated. Are you working on your relationship?
Oh, yeah. We're together now.
We are together now. Okay. Let's hear Angela's side of the story. Angela, will you come on out?
I can't believe you.
Angela, what is going on here? Did you have an affair with Tom?
No, I don't believe it was anything like an affair.
Was not an affair?
It was rape. Either it was a rape or it was an affair. There's no in between there. You know, once you can admit to yourself that it was an affair and get on with your life, he's been through therapy, I've been through therapy.
Well,
you need therapy.
What I need, yeah.
Very much so.
I believe it.
And that way you can get on with your life and not call me and want to be me and mine.
Were you having sexual intercourse with Tom?
Obviously.
It's not obvious to me.
That's why we're here.
But I wasn't there, so it's not obvious to me. I'm asking you a question. Were you?
Yeah. I like getting
your
affection.
That's why I believe the affair took place. You had a father figure and a man all in one. You bragged to your friends.
Oh, yeah.
I'm having an affair with a married man. Angie, she told us that.
She told everybody at school that I was having an affair, okay?
She told everybody. See, Angie, I'm not asking why. I know why it happened. I just wanted you to admit it.
When we come back, this man says sleeping with a babysitter was the biggest mistake he ever made. Today, he's going to beg his wife for forgiveness. Will she take him back? Find out when we return. What do you think ought to happen? Because it's important what the kids think.
That they should get back together.
Is it very painful for you?
Introducing a new green Listerine. New Fresh Burst Listerine. And it not only tastes great, it works great. It kills the germs that cause bad breath. It fights plaque above the gum line. It even fights the gum infection gingivitis. Now, can your mint mouthwash do all that? We don't think so. Get the new taste, new feeling, new sensation of new Fresh Burst Listerine.
What is it your mother always said? Wear clean underwear in case you're in an accident. As if that's ever really happened. As if a doctor would ever notice your underwear. Don't risk it, whisk it. Because you know Whisk gets out the toughest stains, like this. Then Whisk puts those same stain-fighting ingredients to work on everything you wash. To get out all kinds of stains on all kinds of clothes. Remember, you're going to be wearing what you wash. Don't risk it, whisk it.
Attention accident victims. You've been hurt in an accident and the insurance company is offering you an unfair settlement and selling you down the river. Don't allow it. Call the tough, smart lawyers Swore and Gatto, 690-4300. Swore and Gatto will fight to collect all of the cash and benefits you have coming. Lost wages, medical bills, and money for pain and suffering. Don't allow the insurance company to take advantage of you. Call Swore and Gatto now. Tough, smart lawyers who get results. 690-4300.
Hi, I'm Johnny Cat, here with my pals to talk about my premium cat litter. Look, when some ordinary gray litters get wet, they can get muddy. But Johnny Cat is made from special lighter and whiter minerals that absorb moisture and odor. Now, mud may be fine for pigs, but we cats are a bit more particular. So if you own a pig, buy the gray stuff. But if you own a cat, try Johnny Cat. It's the lighter, whiter, and drier litter.
They're all here. Spanky, Alfalfa, Buckwheat, Darla, Stymie, Porky, and Petey. With big fun. Big laughs. Big romance.
I love diamonds.
And big adventure. The Little Rascals. The all-new feature film is now on video cassette. Just $24.98 or less. Look for the $5 mail-in rebate offer.
He's 44, she's 19.
He's good to her. I do not believe that he's good for her.
May-December romance. Age has mom enraged.
I want my daughter back.
Next, Sally.
Today we are talking with couples whose marriages, they say, were ripped apart after the husband had an affair with the babysitter. And I said, you know, life is kind of like a puzzle. Yes, ma'am?
I just want to give some respect to Londa. You deserve a lot of credit for the care and consideration you're giving both of these and your forgiveness. You deserve a lot of respect on that.
Sorry, I just wanted to commend Londa as well, because I think you're handling it really well. Just to get back to what was happening before, what were you saying about how, so I can't remember her name, Angela, is it? Angela used to dress up in your clothes, and I wanted to know why you weren't wearing your wedding band.
I never did that. It never happened.
The wedding ring was cut off in Oklahoma where we were living. She knows this wasn't my wedding ring cut off.
Yeah, 'cause
that's why I wasn't wearing it.
Okay.
And when I did come in and she had my clothes on and my jewelry, the rings, what are you doing playing house?
Is that true, Angela? Were you wearing her jewelry and her clothing?
Just in spite that I like jewelry. Not because I was acting like Londa, wanting to be her.
Yes. Very difficult, Angela, for us to understand. Please meet Ralph and Cinda. Ralph admits that he had an affair with the babysitter, who also happened to be dating their oldest son. Cinda, let me start with you. What happened? If he's old enough to date, why does he need a babysitter, I guess?
Well, my son was 15, and it's his stepson. He had raised him from the time he was 4. But the babysitter, she babysat for our infant daughter, who was about 6 or 9 months old.
Okay.
And she was very much part of our family. We took her to Myrtle Beach for the weekend. I took her shopping. It was school dance, and I took her to all over town to buy her dress for the dance, and she came to my house and got ready for the dance, and we paid for a limo, and the children went to the dance in a limo. Well, little did I know she was sleeping with Ralph at the same time. You know, that was really devastating to me.
How did you find out?
Just little things. People started talking, and little things he would do, like it would come time to take her home at night, and he would tell the son, well, you go on to bed, you have school in the morning, and I'll take her home. She only lived about 5 minutes up the road. He'd be gone 20 minutes. One night he went to take her home, and it was just about 4 or 5 miles up the road, and it was just a 2-lane highway, and he came back about an hour later. He had got our 91 custom van hung up in a ditch to the point where it had to be pulled out the next morning by a record. There was no way that would have happened if he hadn't have pulled over and parked somewhere for a makeout.
What did you do when you found out your husband was having an affair with the babysitter?
I tried confronting him 2 or 3 times, and I was the deranged, stupid wife. How could I think that he would do something like that? And then I heard rumors that she was pregnant, so I started watching, and she was. He started spending a lot of time at work, saying it was to cut down on expense, and he was working a lot of midnight shifts. So one night I decided to go watch, and the very first time I went, I parked around the corner, and my van left. And so I thought, oh, he's found out I'm out watching. So I went around the corner and I called, and I acted like I was tired. I was fixing to go to bed, just calling to tell him good night. And that was fine. So I went back around to watch the Dom to see my van come back, and I walked in, and he didn't know I was around. I walked down the hallway to a back bedroom and opened the door and flipped on the light, and there him and her stood. Of course, I went into a frantic rage. I was ready to kill her on the spot. He pulled me off of her and threw me down the bed, pinned me down till she could get away. I ran after her, got outside in a rage, and he put her in our 1991 van and drove off. Left me standing in the rain in a rage.
Are you two still together?
Oh, no.
Ralph Is Cinda telling the truth?
She's telling what she believes to be the truth, yes.
Is it?
But no, absolutely not.
It is not the truth.
No, no. What I'm trying to say is there were things that she said that were not true. When she's trying to paint a picture here that we were in a bedroom together and she went in and flipped on the lights were already on, and she did say that we were standing up. We were not touching each other.
They were standing up. If I had waited 20 minutes, they probably would have been sacked. I just walked in too soon.
That's her opinion. That's not fact.
Ralph.
What?
Is the majority of what she said the truth? Were you having an affair with the babysitter?
Yes, I had.
So it's the details. Now, the lights were on and they were standing, but what's the bottom line?
The bottom line is he had sex with the babysitter. That's the bottom line. And she is the only one of the wives that got sense. Cut it loose, honey. A stiff one has no conscience, and he will do it again.
It's your turn, partner.
You know, Angela, I feel bad for you. My heart goes with you. But as I was sitting here and standing here, all I heard was that you're the victim, you're the victim. Aren't your kids the victim? They have to see this crap and see this on TV. I think that's kind of wrong.
Thank you for thinking of that. Ralph, you've gone to some drastic measures to prove to your wife that you still love her. Would you like to be back with your wife?
More than anything.
More than anything.
We tried that.
No, we've not tried.
We tried that. We
No,
sold
we've
our
not tried.
business. We sold our business. We packed up everything we owned to move 500 miles to get away from this little girl and to try to reconcile.
And what
we
happened?
was there about 2 weeks, and I found where he had went and rented a post office box so he could still correspond with this girl. Told me that it was because we was going to get bills that might upset me.
Yes, sir.
You hear the way these women are talking? You guys are making us men look real bad, okay?
Yeah.
Now you, Tom, you took advantage of a young, innocent child, man. You should have did that time behind bars and more, man.
As far as I'm concerned, Ralph, you must think everybody in this audience is stupid. All right, you know what I'm saying? You must think we are all stuck on stupid, might as well say. All right, that's wrong. That's bottom wrong.
He still continues to do it. I mean, he begs to me and does stupid things, but
You're in a big denial right now.
I'm
You know what
not even getting
You're
to
a big
talk,
denial.
so I don't.
You know, and that's wrong.
There's two sides to this story, buddy.
Yeah.
He drove 500 miles. He drove 500 miles to get this little girl. Christmas, well, around Thanksgiving of '93, he drove from Ohio. After he followed me up here, he drove from Ohio to get this little girl, and she lived with him and my son for about 3 months. And he tries to tell me there's nothing there.
That's another misconception. I did.
I have pictures.
You have convinced our producers that you really want to get back with your wife.
Yes, I do. I came out here with my shirt sleeve, my heart right here, okay?
On your shirt.
Because I made a bad mistake. I made the worst mistake a man could make. I have ruined my marriage. I have ruined my children's life.
Look,
but I'm not the same person that I was, and she's trying to say that
Ralph, you're talking to me. Why don't you talk to her?
Sandra, I would like for you to look at me so I can talk to you. You know that I've admitted to you that I did wrong. You know that I've admitted that I've done things that I shouldn't have done that's caused us to get to this point now. You also know that you do know that I'm a changed person, that since I moved to our town, that we're living in the same town. We were not living in the same town when this person came to visit me and my son, okay? I moved, I'm talking, please. I moved. I moved to your town to be near you and to be near my children, and because I realized what I had done wrong, and I have done a lot to change my ways, and you can't talk about since what happened a year ago when you filed for divorce, and I was living by myself for over a year, that you were living apart from me, and you're bringing up things that I did when you were going out and messing around with men. I don't want to hear it.
I haven't been with nobody. Don't feed me that. You know better.
I know that you have.
You know
Your friends
better.
have told me you have.
Guess what? They're talking. We'll be right back. Will Cinda forgive Ralph and take him back? Find out when we return.
One fish flips in the ocean. One fish flips in the sea. It's one fish as kids love. It's Daddy Cans for me. And me. It's Daddy Cans for me.
Your kids will love the great fresh taste of Vandicamps. No wonder they're #1 in families with kids.
If the bats don't flip, the fish ain't hip. It's Vandicamps for me. And me. Everybody. It's Vandicamps for me.
The same families who work the land are proud to own their own brand. Farmland. So when you choose Farmland, Farmland bacon, sausage, Farmland ham, and Black Angus beef, you know it's good, wholesome food straight from the independent family farmers who produced it. Farmland. Proud to be farmer-owned.
Some things look impossible. Like losing weight. It looked impossible to me, but last year I lost 30 pounds with Weight Watchers, and I know it's possible for you. With the new Fat and Fiber plan, you eat the food you love as you lose weight. Join Weight Watchers now and register absolutely free and lose at least 10 pounds in 5 weeks or get up to 2 weeks free, guaranteed. So register free and get the guarantee. You don't know what you can achieve until you try.
It's cold season. And for adult strength relief, many doctors recommend Dimetap. What's more, in a recent study, the antihistamine in Dimetap Extend tabs relieved allergic rhinitis symptoms better.
The difference is it's younger, it's still finding its legs, and I think it's grounded slightly more in reality than Night Court was. I mean, Night Court had its real own space of reality, but hopefully it's still 22 minutes worth of good humor. I mean, you know, all sitcoms have that in common.
Yeah, well, I enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay, Mark, thanks for calling. On to Beverly and Croton on Hudson, New York. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, Beverly. Welcome to CBS.
Okay, I just wanted to ask John Larroquette, I believe he has a problem or had a problem with alcohol. I wanted to know how much of himself, other than that problem, if anything, he portrays on the show. And I just wanted to say it's good to finally find you, Tom, on a station that I can finally get.
All right, let me refer to John for the answer here. I think he's pretty well gone over his experiences with alcoholism, and I don't know if that plays a part in the role he plays at the bus station, but I'll let him answer your question.
Well, I was attracted to the character because of his history. Certainly, he and I have that in common, but certainly the show is in no way autobiographical. There's not my story in this guy. He just happens to come from a place that I didn't have to go out and do the research on.
Right.
You know, I'd already done that.
He had already played the part in part, is what he's saying, Beverly. We sure appreciate your calling.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good night now.
Good night.
All right, bye-bye. I mentioned that you might have serious work as a host of award shows. I saw you on the Golden Globes the other night. Is that a difficult assignment? It would seem to me that that's pretty easy. You just kind of introduce people and you step aside.
Well, I tell you, it's not to make the job seem important, but it's not easy, particularly that particular award show. I don't think it's easy because you've got a room filled with some of the most talented, important people in the world.
It's a big room, to be sure.
And it's a very tough room. I mean, it's a very tough room, you know, because they're really there to enjoy the show. And I have to think of the camera as well as the room.
Right.
And the camera's actually more important than the room because nobody's looking, you know, in the room I'm looking at Sophia Loren. I don't want to be talking to the camera either. I want to be looking at Robert Altman and Tom Hanks and Tarantino. Everybody, you know, the people that I admire are there. So it's tough to keep that pace going because you're not going to get the feedback you would from an ordinary audience.
Yeah.
And not to just freak out and have little beads of sweat on your forehead thinking that you're bombing.
You know, in many ways, that room is bigger than the Oscar room because everybody seems to show up for this. You know, there are 1 or 2 still pictures, but most of them are there.
Yes.
Hanks was there, they were all there. Do you ever get overwhelmed by those people? I mean, these are the greatest stars of international motion pictures in the world.
I don't think overwhelmed is the word. I'm in awe of them, you know, particularly people like, you know, I'm standing in a line, I look around, and there's Robert Altman. you know, one of the greatest filmmakers on the planet. And my desire is to pull him by the lapels, get him in a corner, and go, okay, now let me ask you a few questions about what you've done. You know, and the same with Tom. I mean, I did Tom's television show, and he had Bosom Buddies on the air, you know, 15 years ago. All of these people, they're artists. It would be like walking into a room and seeing Gauguin, Van Gogh, and want to sit down and just pick their brains, you know, have a chance to touch the personality that affected me so tremendously.
See, a lot of people would like to sit down with Robert Altman and say, could you tell us what Ready to Wear was really all about? Now, you mentioned you were with Hanks on television 15 years ago. Did everybody know then, could you sense then that this was something special?
Well, I don't know, because I wasn't around that long. They fired me from the job, so I didn't
Why?
really...
Why did they do that?
It was, the network came down and looked at me, and the casting director had, and the producer had cast me, and I was just wrong for the role. I mean, I'm, you know, 6'4", I weighed at that point maybe 180 pounds. I was supposed to be a short, dumpy, mean landlord, and they just
couldn't work. Okay.
Didn't work, so I spent 3 days with Tom. And was very enamored by him because of his personality. I mean, he was a boy.
And by the way, you know, we could ask of him or of others who have worked with you early on, could they see in John Larroquette the promise that this man would become a much beloved star on Night Court and go on to great success in a program that bears your own name? By the way, when they said to you it's going to be the John Larroquette Show, did you pull back from that at all? Well, it's like this is called really the Late Late Show. It's not, my name isn't the title, and I'm very happy about that. I would not want to see my name be the title of a show.
I actually didn't hear when they first said that, because what they had said just before that was that you're on opposite Roseanne. So anything they said for the next 6 or 7
And by the way,
I didn't really hear. I fought it because obviously originally it was called something else. When Don Riel created it 5 years ago, 6 years ago, he created it. It was called Crossroads, which is a great title. But because of the competition, we thought that, you know, the half dozen people in America who do like what I do, when they open the TV guide and they see, well, okay, when they see the name, that's a question they don't have to
Who is this
ask.
person, right, who's in this show? Carrie joining us on the toll-free now from Chicago. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to ask John, since you're from New Orleans and everything, what did you have to do to get rid of your Louisiana accent?
Well, we talked about it a little early in the show. When I was 15, I became a disc jockey, so I would sit at my mother's table with the radio and the television and listen to Brinkley and Huntley and Walter Cronkite and try to lose that Yat accent, because the very first job I had in radio was for a classical radio station. It was owned by the PBS affiliate in New Orleans. And my job, it was an automated station, so basically my job was to watch these big 15-inch Ampexes go around in case they broke. And every hour, just do an ID. And every 2 hours, do a little rip and read from the AP machine. So I wanted to sound as though I was 40 and I had a little gray, because I was really, you know, 17 and very pimply and very Yat-like. Yat meaning New Orleanian, because we're called Yats because when they meet you, they go, "Where Yat, bae?" That's how they greet you. So we're Yats. So I practiced. I would just create this image of myself without the New Orleans accent. It sort of dropped away normally, naturally.
But you don't.
But no.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Carrie. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask. No one told you that you have to get rid of his accent. You just did it yourself.
That's right. I actually have a record of myself I made when I was 8 years old. One of those. Remember the old machines? You could put a quarter in and have a little record. I did a stand-up routine at 8 years old to my mother. And it's a very, very thick New Orleans accent.
You know, Carrie, I used to work in Atlanta, Georgia, and one day we were auditioning women. There was a time in America when it was thought that the best thing you could put on television was the weather girl, you know, an attractive young woman giving the temperatures. So they auditioned, I would say, 100 women, because most folks want to be on television. And one came in and she said, "Could you give me the microphone that takes the Southern accent away?" She thought there was such a thing. Carrie, I'm glad you called. Many, many thanks.
Well, I watch you every night. I really like your show.
Thanks, Carrie. I appreciate that. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be watching, you know.
Well, I graduated from college, so
then you're allowed. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carrie.
Bye-bye.
I always say that to younger folks because the wizards on Madison Avenue before we started all said, well, the only people going to watch him are in the nursing home. You know, they've got these crystal balls there in New York, and they gaze into them and amuse themselves. Yats, huh?
Yeah.
We're Yat.
It's a great accent, though.
And could you lapse back into it if you wanted to?
I do when I talk to my mother when I go home. After a while, if I go have some red beans and rice at my mama's house, you know, we go make groceries. and go eat some raw oysters down in the French Quarter. Yeah, it comes back pretty easy.
Very good. It's a joy to see you again, my friend. Thanks for joining us over here, and continued success on the John Larroquette Show.
Thanks for inviting me, Tom.
My great pleasure. Back with Shelley Smith and the remarkable technology now available to parents, or to people who want to be parents. We will continue after a short timeout.
Every second of an asthma attack can feel like an eternity. That's why there's Primatene Mist. Primatene starts to open clogged breathing tubes in as fast as 15 seconds. Primatene Mist, fastest type asthma relief without a prescription.
You ready? Yes. Tell me what you smell. I have no idea. You're really stuffed. Yes. I have a nasal spray I want to give you. Now what do you smell? That's an orange. You got it. Curious about the product? Dristan. Dristan 12-hour nasal spray. Man, I can breathe.
So tender, so innocent, your gums, so vulnerable to the wicked germs hoping to ravage them. Insidiously, they can build plaque and inflict gum disease. These germs are not fiction. They are in your mouth. Brushing and flossing alone may not stop them. Listerine can. Only Listerine's germ-killing formula is clinically proven to help prevent gum disease. Listerine, the power of prevention. Their germs show no mercy.
East of the Texas Hill Country in Austin, there's a place that just won't let you go home hungry. It's called Threadgill's. And here you might find yourself behind a great big chicken fried steak, a mountain of red beans and rice, or even a microphone. So if you go, bring your appetite for a good time and your Visa card. Because Threadgill's might let you take the stage, but they won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Does your MCI friends and family calling circle confuse you?
I expected savings by me giving a list of the people that I frequently call, not knowing that those people had to be participants of MCI as well.
How is AT&T better?
I spend $25, they give me 20%, and that's it.
AT&T True USA is a simple way to save on US calls, without circles.
I like the AT&T because it's cut and dry.
Your true voice.
Looking for the fountain of youth?
There are some people that stay younger than other people. Why not be one?
We'll show you some secrets that could put the spark back into your love life.
It's really a new beginning. Sex drive?
It's fantastic.
Find out ways to stay younger on 48 Hours, Thursday.
CBS presents Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins in the world broadcast premiere. The Silence of the Lambs contains some violent scenes. Sunday.
I had to do something. We were trapped. Just us. Aunt Lila and Aunt Lila's chips. There was only one thing I could do. I broke out the Cheese Whiz cheese and salsa dip. Smooth and cheesy, with a little kick of salsa. Well, trips to Aunt Lila's will never be the same. Come to think of it, neither will Aunt Lila. There's never a boring bite with Cheese Whiz cheese and salsa dip.
Boyle & McCarthy's White Bear Lake Super Truck Store has the largest selection of GMC full-size luxury conversion vans. Luxury vans like this Explorer Limited with this executive raised roof, three-way power travel sofa, a rear stereo and cassette player, power sunroof, remote control color television, heated leather bucket seats, and much more with a $1,500 rebate and Wally McCarthy's savings up to $9,000 at Wally McCarthy's White Bear Lake Super Truck Store.
Eden Prairie is one of the Twin Cities' fastest-growing suburbs. But beyond the developed areas, you'll still find pristine prairie and hardwood forest. To preserve it, residents form the Eden Prairie Land Trust, a catalyst for community action that protects these areas. I'm Michelle Martins from NSP. We're thanking the Eden Prairie Land Trust for making this an even better place to live.
Tomorrow night here, the playwright Anna Devere Smith, who electrified Broadway with a reality play based upon the Los Angeles uprisings here a couple of years back. Later in the week, from Star Trek Voyager, Kate Mulgrew is here. You know, nowadays, more and more women wait until they are more mature to have kids, and for many of them, infertility is becoming a problem. There are a number of new techniques to help women conceive. One of them is quite controversial. Shelley Smith is involved in one of them tonight. She is called an egg broker. I have trouble with this phraseology. Is that okay with you, egg broker?
I like a liaison between infertile couples and egg donors, but...
Egg donors it is. She
Okay.
brings together infertile couples and women she has recruited to sell their own fertile eggs for a fee. We welcome Shelley to our program. I remember you from The Associates, and I'm told by my director, Brian McAloon, who still wants to be a contestant on the $25,000 pyramid, that you were one of its greatest celebrity contestants. So
that'll
welcome.
be on my tombstone.
Now, your pregnancy, and you're about 2 or 3 weeks away from delivery, and I hear you're having twins. Is that right?
I'm having a boy and a girl, that's right.
You got to be kidding me.
We hit the jackpot.
That is
but it took
wonderful.
5 years to get to this point.
But your pregnancy is an example of the technology involved here with egg donation and receivership. Could you give me just the basics of how this works?
Well, basically what happens is that someone, in my case, I'll use as an example, a woman younger than I, because the body can carry very late. In fact, I'm sure you've heard about women into their 60s.
Yes, ma'am.
Carrying babies. We work with a population that's more like women before they're 50, but the body can carry a baby very well. The difference is that eggs age as a woman does. So in the late 30s, early 40s range, when a lot of women who've had careers have put off childbearing want to have babies, they're finding that they're not able to do that. So what they do is recruit a number of eggs from a different woman, obviously a younger woman, someone rather like them, hopefully intelligent and attractive, and obviously a very kind-hearted person. The eggs are removed from their body, but not immediately. They're first given hormones by injection. They go to the doctor's office a number of times. The eggs are removed, mixed in a petri dish with the husband's sperm, and then the embryo or fertilized egg, several of them actually, are implanted in the uterus of the woman, like myself, who's going to carry them.
Now, to remove an egg from a woman, does that involve surgery of any kind?
It's very minor. It is a surgical procedure, but it's done with a needle vaginally, and the eggs are aspirated or actually vacuumed off the top of the ovary.
All right.
And she's given some medication, so there's no pain involved.
And then when this fertilized embryo was placed within you, how is that done? Is that a surgical procedure?
No, it's very easy. It's done with a tube. Actually, I had 4 implanted because it doesn't always work. But one of the side effects of this, because you're dealing with unknowns here, is how many do you implant where you really want to get pregnant, but gosh, you don't want to have triplets necessarily or quadruplets. So you have to implant more than one.
Now, wouldn't this raise a question? Let's just draw a scenario here where you'd be implanted with a multiplicity of fertilized embryos, and through a sonogram they would find out that you've got quintuplets on the way, and that possibly you can only deliver 2 of them live birth, and the rest will die in childbirth, and that you might have to make a decision to abort 2 or 3 fetuses.
It's called selective reduction. It can be done.
Well, that's the nice term for it.
Yeah, but it is, and that's something we try to avoid, and the way you avoid it is by not getting crazy. People are desperate to have children, Tom, when they do this, and they get so nervous that they want to implant 7 embryos. A good ethical doctor's office like the Huntington Reproductive Center where I work won't do that. We're going to implant 3 or 4, and the chances of all of them taking are really low.
Now, how do people find you? How do people find egg donors?
Egg donors are found through advertising. Many people come to me and say, you know, I know about infertility, I love my children, or I don't want to have children myself, but gosh, I'd love to help another woman, and it feels so good to be able to give. They're often blood donors or people who donate organs. I always say, hold on to that kidney, because some of them go a little far.
Yeah. And so where would the ads be placed?
It depends on the target population that I'm after. If I want a certain religion or if I want an Asian population. Sometimes I work with actresses out here because Los Angeles is full of them. Actually, we're really lucky on the West Coast because there are a lot of donors available. In New York City, there's a 1.5-year wait for a woman to get 1 egg donor, whereas in California, there are wonderful women available, bright graduates, summa cum laude graduates of Wellesley, for instance, really attractive people, good-hearted people. It's great.
I'm sure you've been asked the obvious questions here about genetic engineering and the brave new world, and is this technology in violation somehow of conventional childbirth, conventional procreation? and whether or not we are playing God here and trying to, I mean, a woman could well decide, I want a blonde, blue-eyed male with an IQ of X, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and we could genetically create perfect human beings. And there are some people who think maybe we ought not be doing that, that should be in the hands of the Almighty or Mother Nature or whatever.
I don't know if it's quite come to that, because you're never going to know exactly what you're going to get, but certainly people are going to want to try to match themselves.
Sure.
Everybody wants a pretty baby. Everybody wants an intelligent baby. Of course. What I'm looking for, my criteria is that it's a loving home and that the child will be matched and mirrored very well in the home. If the child matches the woman, it helps her get over the loss that she's feeling. But I don't know it's quite come to that yet. The potential is certainly there. There are many, many ethical questions raised about this. Sometimes people say, I don't want a donor who's at all like me. I want somebody much, much better than me, and I wonder about that, too. You know? All
right. We are talking here about egg donorship and the creation of children in unconventional ways with Shelley Smith. The phone lines are still humming at 800-95-CBS-TV. We'll be right back after these messages.
Throat needs soothing? Reach for new Celestial Seasoning Soothers. Real fruit juice flavor in all natural herbal throat drops. Not too sweet, not too strong. Sore throat relief that's just right. Celestial Seasoning Soothers.
Cellular One is so remarkably clear that we're actually recording this commercial on it. Cellular One, the nation's #1 cellular service, clear across America.
Monroe developed Sensitrack shocks to smooth out the road for a comfortable ride. But Sensitrack doesn't stop there. It's the only shock that also gives you extra control when you need it most. Sensitrack shocks and struts, only by Monroe. For comfort and control. Get Sensitrack shocks. Call 1-800-STRUT now for a Monroe ride expert near you.
Tonight on Dave, Mary Tyler Moore, Oscar nominee Chaz Palminteri, and singer Patty Smythe.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's show is so easy, a child could watch it.
Get live with CBS on Prodigy, the nation's most popular online service. Go behind the scenes of The Late Late Show with Tom Snyder. Talk with Tom and his guests online. Tell us what you think. Get program information. Even take a special Tom Snyder trivia quiz. To order Prodigy, call 1-800